Oh, Debbie, I'd like to add a couple of items to the agenda.
Debbie, you're muted.
Yeah, sorry. Somebody's cooking and I have to do my meetings in the kitchen here because when I'm in my office, I keep getting bumped off of the internet. And so somebody's banging around. You stop now. Okay, so I think everybody's here. I can see their names. I just don't see their faces. So I'm thinking we could probably call the meeting to order. There are two of us for quorum, Heather. So I will, first of all, oh, for some reason it's not on here. The Richmond Board of Education acknowledges and thanks the First People of the Hunkaminam language group on whose traditional and unceded territories we teach, learn, and live. And I'm wondering if maybe we could go through and have some introductions because we're just getting off to a new start. And so if we could go, I guess I should do it myself, Debbie Tablatny, chairperson for the school board and for the council board liaison, and Heather
Larson, vice chair for the school board and for the council board liaison.
Andy.
Sorry, Andy?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I'm Andy Hobbs, City Council. Hi.
Alexa.
Hi, Alexa Liu, City Council, School Board Liaison Committee.
Marie.
Marie Fenwick, Director of Arts, Culture, and Heritage.
Okay. Kane Miller.
Hi there, it's Keith Miller, and I am the Director of Recreation and Sports Services.
Okay. And Sanjali.
It's Sonali, and good morning, everyone.
Sonali. Sorry, it's so tiny.
I'm Sonali, and I'm with the city's transportation department. Thank you.
Kim's iPhone.
Good morning, everyone. Kim Somerville, Director for Community Development.
And Scott.
Hi, good morning, everyone. I'm Scott Robinson, Superintendent of Schools with Richmond.
And Chris Stranger.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Chris Stanger, Assistant Superintendent in the Richmond School District.
And Jane.
Good morning. I'm Jane McMillan, Assistant Superintendent.
Rick.
Good morning, everybody. Rick Ryan, Deputy Superintendent.
And Cindy Wang.
Good morning, everybody. This is Cindy Wang. I'm the Secretary Treasurer for Richmond School District.
And I'm not sure if we've got anyone else on here. I see a couple of blank screens, but if they pop on.
Sorry, I'll just throw myself in there.
Yeah.
I'm Lloyd B. I'm the Director of Transportation at the City of Richmond.
Okay, great, thanks. Thank you. Okay, so we'll move to adopt the agenda.
Debbie, I'd like to add two items.
Yeah, okay, go ahead.
I'd like to add school sport fees and recognition of swimming credentials by school.
Okay, school sport fees and recognition of
swimming credentials.
And I'm thinking they could be added under
Item 4, new business down there.
Yeah, 4.4. And would the fees fit there as well, or do we want that? as a
That's
separate-
different. That was
Yeah.
a different one. So,
Okay, so why don't we make that a 5?
okay, so 4.5 is sport fees and 4.6 is
Yeah.
swim recognition. Thank you. I'll move that then, the
Okay.
amended agenda.
Okay, and I have a second, Heather. Thank you. So the agenda is adopted. We have minutes from April 13th that are attached. And we need to approve them. And I can't remember who was there on April 13th, but if those that were could approve them. Do we have anyone else that was
I'll
there?
move,
on
I was
April?
there too. Yeah.
Okay, good. Thank you. So that's Alexa and Andy. Or Councillor Hobbs and Councillor Liu. Sorry, it should be more formal.
It's too early
Standing
for that
items.
amount of formality.
Traffic Safety Advisory. We have Sonali, I think, speaking to that item.
Sure. Thank you, Chair.
Thank
I
you.
can provide a brief summary of the minutes from the 2 Traffic Safety Advisory Committee meetings that we had and the items that are related to recent activities around school zone safety. These highlights are also found in the minutes attached to the agenda package for today. And they include upgrading of an existing crosswalk on 4th Avenue. This is adjacent to Manoa Steeps Elementary School.
No, somehow you've got a.
Oh, we all do.
I'll try again.
Yeah.
Oh.
Is that? I think it's gone.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll continue and see how it goes. So this was the raised crosswalk that was installed adjacent to Manoa School to help slow traffic down and give pedestrians higher connection across the street on 4th Avenue. As well, in-street school zone delineator signs you've seen around a lot of the elementary schools in the city that are in the center of the street that help to narrow the road down and slow traffic down, and also highlight the school zone for motorists. 10 more have been installed since the last meeting. Other safety measures that have been implemented recently are the temporary speed cushions. This is a new device that we're testing out on Kittiwake Drive, and that's near Westwind Elementary School. We're monitoring this intervention, and we'll be seeking feedback in the spring to determine next steps. And finally, a speed reader board, so a digital sign that provides feedback on speeds to drivers. That was installed near Tomset School. And those are the items and update for the TSAC meetings that occurred since the last school board liaison meeting. Thank you.
Anybody have questions? Heather, go ahead.
I just have a quick one. Thank you very much for that. When you talk about the speed cushions, are they the ones that are sort of half, they don't go across the road completely? There's sort of a space on each end and then a space in the middle? Is that?
That's right. These are
okay.
Temporary versions of that concept. They're rubber, and they do have those cutouts that allow for emergency vehicles to pass.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
And has there been an issue on Kittiwake Drive?
Yes, we received concerns from residents regarding speeding in the neighborhood.
Okay, because I know Kingfisher was an issue, but didn't realize Kittiwake didn't used to be, probably is now. Okay.
Yeah, if I can add to that a little bit, Sonali, like certainly as part of the residents' concern, we did go out and monitor speeds out there, and we did find that there was an identified speeding issue on Kingfisher.
Okay, great, thank you. Councillor Liu.
Thank you, through the chair. Now, it's my understanding that typically when schools have an issue, it should be going through the PAC, through the principal and then into this traffic advisory. Is that correct? Because we keep getting these emails from the Burnett PAC, from Connie Huang, the chair of the Burnett Secondary School, and she has some issues, and so we want to make sure that they're getting where they're supposed to be going and going through the right channels instead of coming directly to council, so that we aren't circumventing the process or short-circuiting the process.
Yes, maybe Superintendent Robinson, could you speak to that process? Because we've all been actually receiving those emails, but they seem to be directed straight to council. So
certainly, I believe Councillor Lou is correct in that the PAC needs to be emailing directly, and the PAC through the principal would contact the school district, and we would then work with the city staff on this. We don't want PAC chairs contacting a variety of folks and putting out sort of a scattergun approach to that. I believe that has been articulated already. I'm not certain that it's been heard, however, so we'll continue to reinforce that.
Okay, is there also sort of the reminder that the PAC and the school parents should probably be working together? So if they have an agreed way of dropping kids off, that, you know, we're trying to create a community of that follow certain behaviors, and can everybody toe the line, please? Sort of.
Through the chair, perhaps I could respond to that. Yeah, what typically happens in schools is there's an expectation that the rules that are specific to that school are communicated to the entire parent community at least once during the year. I can certainly comment at elementary. It tends to happen more frequently when there are issues, but that's not a bad reminder for that particular school community to perhaps receive reminders if they haven't. So I believe Deputy Superintendent Ryan is on the call. He supervises that school, and I'll ask him to touch base with the principal and see what kind of communication has gone out there. Thank you.
Thank you.
Great, thank you. Yes, but I was driving through there yesterday at around 3 something, and it was kind of messy. So I do understand, some of her concern. Okay. And there was also an issue at McNeely School just regarding, I don't know, some posts or something that were outside that were interfering with the flow of traffic. Councillor Hobbs, can you comment on that one?
Yeah, that was an issue brought up. Actually, my daughter goes to that school, but she's on the PAC, so it was brought up from the PAC and the principal and the administration. So I think our traffic area, Lloyd, I think is going to look at it, and I think talking to the school, and I think I even let you know about it too, Debbie, just so everybody's in the loop. That happened quite a bit before Christmas, and then we didn't end up meeting as this committee. So I asked if they could have a look at it in the meantime. So I think Lloyd is having it examined.
Okay.
Yeah, this is about McNeely.
Yes.
Yeah, I know that Sonali, and maybe Sonali's better to present this, but her and Bill Dollywell have been in contact with the principal and such. And ultimately, it sounds to me like there is some consensus from the principal, and correct me if I'm wrong, Sonali, but they would like to actually remove those delineators. Our challenge is that this was all done through public process in the past. And as you're aware, that my ability to make changes to these types of things without council direction is that I need a consensus from the neighborhood. So our thought is that ultimately, if this is what school wants and the PAC wants, we'll go out to the neighborhood and perform some kind of process to see if we can get that consensus.
Good. Good to know. And how soon will you be going out to the neighborhood? Is that going to take a...
Right now, we're planning to meet with the principal next week or the next couple of weeks to start our understanding of the concerns of the school. And then we'll go from there with the traffic study to assess and investigate the situation.
Okay, That sounds good, just as long as it's being responded to. That sounds good. Okay, so I think that's it, unless there's any more questions for Traffic Safety Advisory. The Joint City and District Program Committee. And one of the things that we were hoping to have on our agendas is who is actually speaking to those items in the future. So if something's submitted, we can get that. Is it you, Kim? No?
No, it's not. I don't sit on that committee.
Oh, okay.
Through the chair, Deb.
Yeah.
So Elizabeth from the city and myself chair the committee,
Okay.
and we alternate the chair of
Good
that
to know.
committee. So we chaired, the school district chaired the committee on November 25th. I believe that council would have received the minutes from that meeting, and was a wide-ranging discussion on a number of topics. And we have a number of staff, if there's any questions that council and board would like to ask as a result of reviewing the minutes.
Yeah, does anybody have any questions on those minutes? The update is in the agenda here. Okay, seeing none, moving on. Future agenda items that was up for discussion, just how we submit items to this committee, and if possible, we could get them, well in advance of the next meetings and who would be speaking to them. It would be really helpful. So if we could, and we also, as a school district, have agenda planning. And I'm wondering if one of the counselors would like to be involved in the agenda planning, or both. Would that be okay?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So we'll sort that out. Just we want to have effective meetings and topics that pertain to both the school district and council. And so it's good to put the items on there that are really relevant at the time. So thank you very much. We'll look into a process for that. Thank you. Okay. Business arising. So we have 4.1, and that was, we've already talked about the lane delineators. Sorry, I jumped the gun on that one. So is there any more to add on that at all?
I don't have anything additional
Okay.
to add.
Okay, the menstrual equity initiative, and that would be Marie Fenwick, and you were going to speak to this item?
Yeah, just Elizabeth asked me to attend this morning and just provide a brief update on the program. You might recall the city was approached by the United Way, and in 2021, we launched a pilot program to provide free menstrual products in city facilities and report back to council. So the pilot ran for about a year, and staff reported back that the program was well received, that there weren't issues with vandalism or abuse of the dispensers in the facilities, and recommended to council that we continue with the program. And so as part of our 2023 budget process, council did approve funding to continue the program going forward. So we work to make sure all new staff coming in are informed of the program, and so able to direct people appropriately, and also make our visitors aware that the products are available. So I'm happy to answer any questions, and I know Kim Somerville has also been quite involved with the program, so she may be able to answer questions as well.
Does anybody have any questions regarding the program? I know we've implemented it within our schools and products are available. So I don't know if anybody has any questions regarding that. Trustee Larson?
Yes. Are these available also in gender neutral washrooms, like throughout or?
I believe they are. I know in our arts, culture, and heritage facilities they are, and I believe they would be across the city. Kim, are you able to confirm?
Yes, they are. They are in our accessible washrooms. So we tried to make sure that they were available to all that would need products.
Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Okay. I lost my agenda. I don't know how I lost my agenda. Hang on one sec. All right. The catchment changes. Now, Councillor Liu, you had a question on catchment changes?
Thank you. I understand the school board's looking at doing some catchment changes. Certainly when we were out door knocking in the fall, we were hearing from people in the Hamilton area that were frustrated that the kids were being bused past Canby High School over to McNair. They thought it was extra time on the bus for the kids, and then they were also concerned about the environmental impact of driving that extra distance every day, twice a day kind of thing. So just wanted to pass that along and have a maybe understand if that's what's being looked at or if it was other kinds of catchment changes that were being looked at.
Mr. Geyer, I'm wondering if you want to speak to that, and there's a lot of history to that issue of driving past Canby to McNair, which is something they did want at the time. So,
thank you, Madam Chair, and good morning, everybody. So the review and possible reconfiguration of secondary school catchment boundaries in the east, which the east region is basically everything east of Highway 99, and the south central region of the city, which is kind of, if you slice the city into thirds, the middle third and the bottom half is south central. So the review and possible reconfiguration of these catchment boundaries, which actually involves both Canby Secondary and McNair Secondary, which are right now the kids from Hamilton are being bused to McNair, and whereas which is in the south central region, Hamilton's in the east, Canby's in the east. So the review, it's actually a key component of our long-range facilities plan, which was just updated and approved by the board in 2021. And this work is actually included in phase 2 of our comprehensive boundary review. So phase 1, as folks may remember, was actually completed back in 2020 and involved, I believe it was 28 boundary adjustments that were backed up for many years. And we were able to, I think we set a record for the number of adjustments we made. But phase 2, which was a little bit more complicated because it involved busing, it involved possible reshifting of student populations at secondary school. We were ready to start that work, and then the pandemic hit and everything was put on pause. So phase 2, which would involve these pieces, we're still in the background. Planning staff are ready to go, but what we're waiting for is the board can start that process at some point. And but basically we've been doing our homework and we're ready to go when the board is ready to start that process.
thank you, Mr. Geyer. Does anybody have any questions, any more questions regarding this item? Is that satisfactory with you, Councillor Lewis? An explanation that?
Thank you. Yes, I just wanted to know what was happening. I knew that there was some sort of process happening. I just didn't know where it was. And
yes, and then the new board has not embarked on that yet. They're just learning all of that. And so, but it will come. Thank you. Okay, I have got to check my changes here. So we had 4.4 is the swimming lessons and water safety. And that was another question from you, Councillor Lou.
I was just wondering if where the school board was on working with the city to provide swimming lessons and water safety. I understand that Red Cross is no longer the provider. It's a different provider now, and it's more of a water safety versus swimming lessons. But you know, I know during the pandemic it had fallen away, and I'm wondering if there's been a recommitment to getting the kids to learn to swim, or what else we can do. Because I know if it's a funding issue, certainly we've stepped up for bike lessons, getting kids to learn how to bike. So you know, it's definitely a concern for all of us to make sure that our kids have water safety lessons.
Yes, it is. And we live near a river, and they do need to know. They should know how to swim. I'm wondering which of our staff would like to, Mr. Robinson, do you want to speak to that?
Yeah, actually, Chairperson, I'd like to refer it to Assistant Superintendent Stanger, please.
Okay.
Thank you very much for that. And through the chair, I really appreciate the question. I think perhaps I can share some information and really kind of break it down into two parts. First of all, refer to swimming lessons generally and just the capacity to help students develop their competency with swimming, whether that's to be competitive, that kind of thing. And really from a curricular point of view, that is over to teaching staff within their physical education and life skills kind of programming to engage in that teaching and learning. And we look towards staff to engage with Richmond Aquatics to try to facilitate opportunities for them to do that. I know in my conversations with many elementary school principals, there's an appetite to look at doing that in a more sort of systematic kind of way. But again, with the nature of the curriculum, we really leave that for the most part in the hands of capable teachers that we have. In contrast to that, with respect to water safety, we have a really long-standing relationship with Richmond Aquatics to provide what we call it as a Get Wet course. And Richmond Aquatics provides that course for students in our schools. And generally that happens sort of at the 5, 6, 7 level. And primarily it's been part of elementary schools who are interested in attending camp experiences or outdoor learning experiences that will involve water sports, such as canoeing, kayaking, swimming, you know, that kind of thing. And schools want to make sure that the students have the requisite water competencies to be able to engage as safely as possible in those activities. And so for a long period of time, and notwithstanding the pandemic years, but the process for that has been just a fantastic one in collaboration with Richmond Aquatics. So in general, principals would contact Richmond Aquatics, collaborate with them to set up time slots at the various rec centers to get a Get Wet course experience, which is generally on a weekend. Typically, it's a 1-day, 4-hour course. And typically there are 10 participants in that course, and then our staff collaborate with the Richmond Aquatics staff to book as many sections of the course as they need to accommodate the anticipated number of students. And I have to say, in my feedback from principals, you know, they report that Richmond Aquatics staff has always been incredibly responsive to set up courses, to set up schedules that are going to really work for the number of students and the families in our school district, as well as to accommodate kind of last minute requests or to share and collaborate across schools to make sure that the courses are filled and families get the courses that they need. So families participate in those courses. Our school staff shares the information with families, and in many cases, a principal or organizing teacher will actually schedule and facilitate the scheduling of the courses in collaboration with Richmond Aquatic staff. Then after the course is finished, the Richmond Aquatic staff sends over a roster to the school of those students who have completed the course. Usually what happens as well is parents will also send a certificate. And if a parent is not participating in that particular course, but their children have been in swimming lessons through other service providers, they present the information that they have that show that the child has reached a level of competency. And the schools, of course, then just accept that. The Get Wet safety card that the students get is good for 5 years, as I understand. And so our focus has been to focus on our sort of 5, 6, 7 age group, because then that certificate kind of carries them right through the high school years as well. But it allows them to participate in the camp experiences as they move along. Now, with respect to how many students participate in these courses, the numbers really vary from year to year, depending on water skill competency level students might already possess. So we don't really know. We can't sort of say, well, all of our students pass those courses or participate, but the families that do participate, many of their children pass that course. And so by way of example, this year, for example, Diefenbaker Elementary has already booked 8 sections for their intermediate classes, 6, 7 classes, and the number of students participating in those courses is upwards of 80 students. And of course, students that aren't participating may already have competency and a certification from some other provider, and so would not necessarily take advantage of that. Other schools, for example, that are in the process of organizing schedules for the spring include Dixon, Gilmore, and Arrington. We've got McMath, for example, who they've got a trip coming up in the spring, and so they'll also be looking at providing an opportunity for students to get that certification for Get Wet. Now, the district, I noticed Councillor Liu had inquired around certification from outside or other providers, and so perhaps I can just provide a comment here. The district, really doesn't sort of determine this certificate versus that certificate. Rather, they trust that parents are getting the certification that they need for their children, and they simply present that regardless of where they've received it, whether it's a Bronze Cross or a certification from another organization, and trust that the families have helped their children gain the competency. In our field trip handbook, we also have a skill competency checklist that we often share with families. And so if, for example, they're maybe participating in kayaking, here are the water safety competencies that the students would have for that. Yeah, so that's just sort of a brief summary, but I wanted to stress how much we value the partnership with Richmond Aquatics. The staff's so communicative, collaborative, and provide an excellent learning experience for our students. Thank you.
Thank you. So just a couple follow-up questions with that then. If an external swim class provider is having trouble, should I just put them in contact with you then, or with the principal?
Yeah.
Or who
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. And just to clarify, so what we generally do is we send out a communication to families ahead of the camp experience, and it's generally 5, 6 to 8 weeks in advance, and sharing the information about heading to camp, and these are the experiences that students are going to be engaged in. And so if your child is interested in participating in these water activities, that kind of thing, here's the competency skills that they would need. Then we often share information directly that we've collaborated with from Richmond Aquatics that lists some scheduled opportunities that we've already built in. And then we invite the parents that, if you have certification from another organization, please share that with your classroom teacher, the organizing teacher, or the principal, and we kind of move from there. And again, it's not our place to sort of validate that certification. We're not aquatics instructors, and so we're trusting and assuming that if parents have had their children participating in lessons and have a certificate say that they've passed such and such level, we're accepting that regardless of where it's come from.
Okay, thank you. And then another follow-up question. The funding for the kids taking the Get Wet program, is that paid for by the school, or is there like support for kids who otherwise can't afford it?
Yeah, thank you so much for that. So twofold. One, Richmond Aquatics provides a very, very affordable option for families. They also offer a $2, that might not sound like a lot, but there's a discount certificate that they can get as well. But the course, I believe, is somewhere in the neighborhood of $25, which is affordable for most of our families. And for families that that does provide a hardship, we have funds available within the schools to be able to offset those costs. And so we really depend on the relationship of classroom teachers and principals with their families to communicate that in a sensitive and delicate way to families and build that trusting relationship, so that if families are facing those conditions, that there's a level of comfort of bringing that forward, so we can make sure that the children do get those opportunities regardless of their ability to pay.
Thank you.
All right. Are there any other questions on this item? It's good to know, that our kids are actually, go ahead. Yes.
Yeah, I just wanted to
Marie?
remind everybody of also of our recreation fee subsidy program, that, to make sure students and families are aware of that.
Okay. And we had 4.5 was
school
their
sport
recommitment to the recommitment. What did we have? Water safety. Oh, it was the funding. Have we covered that, do you think, Councillor Liu? Or
no. So school sport fees. I'll speak to this. I sit on the board of Kids Sport Richmond. And Kids Sport Richmond receives a grant from the city every year to the tune of about $20,000. Kids are eligible for up to $700 of sport fees a year to get paid for. So in a recent meeting, I was there, and a couple kids had applied to get their school sport fees covered. So I have two concerns with this. Is I feel like perhaps this is a little bit of downloading or shifting the cost over to the city, but more importantly, we weren't able to cover it because some of these kids had already maxed out. So we're like, oh, we can only give you $35. And my concern is that school sport should be affordable. That's where kids should be able to participate in sport. I understand you guys got a grant from the provincial government, and there's an opportunity for other funds to go for that. And so I'm just want to make sure that we're making sure that any kid that wants to participate in a school sport is able to. I don't really have a huge problem with us covering it at the kid sport level, but on the flip side, I certainly don't want them not being able to. And the other thing too was one of the kids, their sport fee included like a $56 amount for a sweatshirt, and we had to take that off. We couldn't, the kid can't have a sweatshirt. Why can't they have it? Can you guys help them out and give the kid a sweatshirt and let them participate and be part of the team? So
Chairperson, I would ask Assistant Superintendent McMillan, please, to respond to that. Thank you.
Sure. Yeah, thank you. And thanks for both raising that and giving us a chance to explore that here. Absolutely, within past and current district support funds, we do want students to be able to participate in any school sports that they want to participate in. Certainly this past year with the Student and Family Affordability Fund from the ministry, that's extreme, we're in a very wonderful space to be able to enhance that significantly. The fund doesn't cover, as you've pointed out, things that would be covered through kids sport, but certainly through any school-based activities that are part of being part of school, or an extracurricular activity related to being in a school, like on a school team. That is something that we would encourage families to reach out to the school principal, because we can absolutely support covering those costs.
Okay, I'll bounce back to the kids sport and just get them to push it through to the principal. But on the flip side, I think it'd be helpful if families knew that this was a possibility, because we don't want kids to not be participating over a $200 school sport fee, right? Like it's
Yeah, that's great. You brought that up. We were just discussing that in a different context as we've been advertising and promoting the families accessing the Student and Family Affordability Fund through their schools. We're going to be sending out a reminder again through communications through school newsletters, and we can update our district website to remind families that this exists and to reach out in an ongoing way.
Okay, thanks. And, and I don't know if it covers the things like the sweatshirt, but, certainly I think if you're trying to create that inclusivity, that's the kid that probably needs the sweatshirt the most.
We'll find a way to make it work for sure.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you. And it is a good reminder, to be sending it out to parents and putting it on the website, because that funding, I think I'm on, is a godsend, for our kids. So thank you. And I think we bypassed it, was the 4.5. You had questions about the swimming credentials, Councillor Liu. Was that addressed then?
Yes, yeah, it
Okay.
looped into the whole, yeah.
Okay, and then we moved on to 5. So does anybody have any more questions on the school sport piece at all? Well, there has to be a way to cover these things for our young people, because school sports is so important to our kids, and the sweatshirt is important. I mean, if they're not included and they're feeling excluded because they're not like the rest of the team, it's and I know PACs are really good at giving funds to supply for that too. So where there's a will, there's a way, always.
Yeah. The challenge with kids sport is because of the way our bylaws are written, you can't, as much as everyone was sitting there like, well, maybe we could just make an exception. And I'm like, you can't make the exception. Like, we gotta, let's go back to the school board and see if we can shake the tree a little bit and do it differently.
Good. Great. Thank you. Glad you brought that up. It's really appreciate it. Okay. Proposed meeting dates for the school district, and we're hosting this year. So proposed meeting dates, and I think Cindy Wang, our secretary treasurer, I think she had maybe some dates set aside, and I don't seem to have them here that I can see. Superintendent Robinson, do you see that? I know we discussed it.
Yeah, through the chair, Madam Chairperson, there is an item on the closed agenda that deals specifically with council board liaison, including meeting dates. So I was proposing perhaps delaying for that item. Okay.
We can wait for that on the closed agenda then. Because it's just so much more helpful if we have these dates set aside and we can prepare for them in advance. So it's very helpful. So I think the next item on the agenda is adjournment. So I'll get someone to move adjournment.
Move adjournment.
Councillor Liu.